Hey guys, it's Jake from Evolving Daily. Thanks for watching. In the first video we talked about the software, rope, cordage, stuff like that, webbing. In this video we're going to talk about hardware, carabiners, things like that, what you'll use them for, and 3 hard and fast rules that I have about rope rescue or rigging in general. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Alright guys, so the first thing is probably the most simple. You guys will be able to recognize this. This is a carabiner. You'll use a bunch of this rigging rope. This is what I would have the most of, definitely. You can get big, small, D-ring, the auto locking, screw lock. The most of the ones that I use are a D-ring like this with a screw lock. That's generally what I use the most of. I have some bigger ones, some ladder hooks, stuff like that. Great big carabiners. But a D-ring screw lock is the most economical. They're the easiest to find. But the big thing with carabiners and any equipment, really, if you're going to use it for life safety, life saving, or any real game time use type rope, it needs to be rated for what you're going to use it for. Alright, so the next thing we'll talk about, I keep a few of these around, are screw links. It's like a carabiner that doesn't have a gate. It has a nut that screws down. Mostly I use these changing the direction of something. If you have like flat webbing here, you can change, as opposed to a carabiner facing this way, you can turn it up on its end. And they have these that are half twisted, like they have a 180 twist in them. A few of those are nice to have, not 100% necessary, but nice to haves. You can make a friction device out of just about anything. Carabiners, you can wrap your rope a couple times on it and it gives a good bit of friction. These can be expensive, but they are very convenient. I call it a ladder rack. I don't know what the technical term is, but basically you can open one side of each of these. You can open one side and you can bob and weave your rope through it, passing over, and it gives a bunch of friction. And you'll just hook this off with a carabiner. So if you're lowering something and you don't want to have the whole weight on you, you pass the rope through here however many times you need, and you end up putting a bunch of friction on it with just this one little device. One thing that you can bypass if you have the manpower, but it's really convenient if you can afford them, are ascenders, or some people call them a Gibbs. That's just a brand name. But an ascender will let the rope move in one direction but not in the other. So if you have your carabiner hooked here and off to an anchor point, if you pull on this rope, it can't move. But if you pull on the rope in the other direction, with it still hooked in the same place, it'll let it move up the rope. They disassemble, all the ones I use, they disassemble with a pin that you push in and pull out, kind of like a quick disconnect, and then the ratcheting part comes out, so you can place this in line. You don't have to run your rope all the way through it. You can sub this out for a prusik knot if you have the manpower, because a prusik has to be manned unless you have prusik minding pulleys, and you'll be able to visualize that better whenever we put up some rigging. Then if you're going to get into any kind of mechanical advantage or changes of direction, you've got to have pulleys. As far as I know, there's no substitute. So if you're not familiar with a pulley, the rope passes through and there's a wheel in there that spins free, or with very little friction, because that's the game plan here. It's all about friction, either adding some or taking some away, things like that. Again, for any hard use stuff, it needs to say on the side what it's rated for, and you need to work within that range. And there are all different sizes of pulleys. I'll show you some bigger ones, and they need to fit your rope. Other than old block and tackles, all modern pulleys break down to where you can slide the rope in so you don't have to find one end and fish it all the way through. You open it up, put your rope in, close it, then put your carabiner back to the top and anchor it or whatever you're using it for. There are singles. This is a single pulley, has a single wheel. There are doubles, triples. I haven't seen a quad, but I'm sure it's out there. And a prusik minding pulley will be very squared off. This may be, it probably would, just not as pretty as some other ones. And they don't all have hooks in the bottom, but some do, and that's convenient for throwing in a 4-to-1 or just different mechanical advantages. Instead of going through another pulley, you can go back and hook into this one. And we'll go over all that whenever we get into rigging. So another thing you'll see me deploying almost every time are, we call it a beam strap or an anchor strap. It's a heavy piece of webbing, double stitched, double layered. Has a small D-ring on one side and a large D-ring on the other. You wrap this around your beam or your anchor or whatever you're using. Small end goes in the big, and it makes a big choker. You don't want to be running your rope over hard edges, stuff like that. And there's a protector that we'll put on this just to help it so it doesn't get scratched up or oily or dirty or anything like that. But other than that, we might use an edge roller so we don't have to use a change of direction. It'll just protect the rope while it goes over an edge. Use a Stokes basket to put the patient in, harnesses, and we'll be using like a 185-pound mannequin. I think that's what it weighs. Alright guys, so now we'll break from this video and go ahead and start taking a look at how to actually tie knots and get into the rigging and all the fun stuff. If you want to go back and watch the previous video, it'll be here. If you want to watch this in longer, like 15-20 minute chunks, that'll be here. A subscribe button here. And remember, you need to be prepared to thrive while others survive. Thanks.